All right, today's video is going to be on the quaking aspen trees. They haven't quite turned yet, but they are still fluttering and quaking like quaking aspens do. So they're a native Sierra tree, and they are the most widespread tree in North America. They're all over. Here where I'm at, they tend to be in higher elevations. We're up in Sierra Nevada at Caples Lake. So they sometimes get confused with birch trees, or in some areas, which is a tree that is in decline, is the big tooth birch. But I'll show you how to differentiate them. Usually when you're up here in the Sierra, you're looking at quaking aspens, and they're just starting to turn. Unfortunately, we're going to miss the big turn, and they usually turn all at the same time, and I'll tell you why here in a sec. All right, first, here's the leaves. They're heart-shaped leaves. Here's one that's turning, and they have these very fine indentations where the big tooth maple are much bigger. And yeah, they're heart-shaped leaves. And the bark, the birch bark, you think about birch, it's all peely bark. These quaking aspens are smooth bark. You kind of got a green tinge to them, so they don't peel off like the birch trees. And when birches get older too, they get much darker bark. But the other thing about these is the petiole, the stem on these leaves, is flat. It's not rounded, and that's what makes it do that. And that's what makes it quake. So if you're in a real quiet area and there's a breeze, you can actually hear the leaves. They're really cool trees. So a lot of times they all turn at the same time. And the reason why, what's really interesting about these trees, they do procreate by seed, but mostly they procreate by the root systems. They have very shallow, fibrous roots, and they're the first tree to move in after fires, because you can destroy the canopy above, but they send out suckers from those roots. And a lot of times it's actually considered one tree. It's just one tree sends out a bunch of roots. The females put out a catkin and they send out a bunch of dust. So if you do want to plant some, I don't recommend planting on their messy tree with those roots being aggressive too. Get a male tree. So a really interesting thing about these trees, there's a place called the Pando Forest in Utah. It's over 100 acres. It's really one tree. It's considered one of the largest, if not the largest, living organism in the frickin' world. And it's all male trees. And because they're all genetically alike, they all turn at the same time, since it's one tree. So the Pando Forest in Utah, pretty amazing place. So the other thing, these trees are very shade intolerant. That's why they do so good after fire. They're still alive, and they tend to procreate by just sending out suckers from the root system. If they have to, those catkins are kind of like cottonwoods, which they're related to. So the scientific name for these is Populus tremuloides. Tremu, maybe it's from trembling. And then the Populus family includes willows and the cottonwoods. And if you all know cottonwoods, they send all those dust clouds everywhere. But these guys are a beautiful high Sierra tree where they grow different places all over the world. They go all the way down to Mexico, all over the United States, into Canada, all the way into Alaska. It's a huge, widespread area. In California, where we're at, they like high elevation in the mountains. They like cooler places. Back in the Midwest and the East, they can grow on lower elevations because it's cool enough. They tend to grow in riparian areas too. They like a lot of water. We're right by a lake up here in a meadow, so they're very shade intolerant, so they tend to fill in those gaps. But we missed the turn by a couple of weeks. It's going to be bright yellow up here, but just another one of my trees that I love in the Sierra that makes this a special place. So it's, what is it, mid-September, late September. If you got them in your area, keep an eye on them. They're going to be bright yellow soon. The Quaking Aspen. Enjoy. Some quivering Quaking Aspens. I forgot to mention what they do from the suckers when they send up trees to the suckers. They call them clones because literally they are clones of themselves. They're genetically identical. So these could all be clones. These little guys right here are probably coming out of the roots of one of these bigger guys in the clonal system. So very interesting tree that in that sense that they really most of them are just clones coming up as suckers. So it's an adaptation to filling in open areas, but if the forest doesn't get burned or cleared somehow, we're having all these fires. Before fire suppression, there used to be many more Quaking Aspens, but their population is going way down. And the big tooth aspen, which looks similar, is almost endangered. There's not many of those in California, but it's just got bigger tooths on the if you ever see one, bigger tooths on the margins. But we don't have too many of them. They're kind of endangered here. So and also the native peoples use these. They were beneficial. You could eat the leaves in an emergency. Yeah, those are bitter now, bitter in the spring. And there's a compound similar to aspirin. They would use those for allergy relief and headache relief, and there was always a use for things if you look for them, but the native peoples knew how to use these things. So Quaking Aspens, awesome tree, very interesting. Thanks for watching.